Every member of the Bat family has gone through some level of intense trauma. They all deserve better, even the Bat Cow. But starting us off, number 10, Alfred. Alfred Pennyworth, quite possibly the most patient man on Earth. Alfred had to help raise Bruce Wayne in a lot of the Batman worlds. Not saying that that wouldn't be like a huge privilege, but look at him. Wayne is not always the most easy man in the world. Just being affiliated with a superhero or a billionaire, especially Bruce Wayne, is dangerous. Alfred unfortunately learned that firsthand. Well, many times over the years, but I'm specifically referencing the time that he was low-key Frankenstein and gained an evil alter ego against his will. It's a wild story. So some criminals set up a trap for Batman and Robin, but Alfred jumped in to save them and he didn't make it out the other side. A big funeral was held, a foundation in Alfred's name was created. Overall, that would be a beautiful ending for that character, so obviously that's not where it ended. This deranged man took Alfred's cold body so he could experiment on him with radiation treatments attempting to revive him. I mean, like, he was right because he did bring Alfred back, but they also completely messed him up. Once revived, Alfred became the outsider, a pale stone man that feels Alfred's emotions but flipped. So if Alfred had hated something before, he now loves it. And if he really loved something, he now really hates it. So he hates Batman and Robin and he wants to take them out. Thankfully, Bruce is rich and strong, so he stopped the outsider and was able to hold him while he founded the research to find a cure. The cure technically worked, Alfred got his old self back, but it was still like in him and would pop out every once in a while. And that's just one example of the garbage that Alfred has been through. I know that he gets paid really, really well though, so maybe that makes up for it. Number 9, Jason Todd. Jason Todd cannot catch a break. An exceptionally difficult life marked by tragedy and hardship from a very young age. Originally a street orphan in Gotham's crime alley, he lost his mother to substances and his father mysteriously disappeared after criminal involvement. In reality, his mom was alive, and then when he did travel halfway around the world to meet her, she sold him out to the Joker, causing his first demise. Bruce Wayne found him attempting to steal tires from the Batmobile and took him in, training him to become the second Robin after Dick Grayson. Despite his efforts, Jason's life took a darker turn after the Joker incident, an event that also deeply affected Batman. But after being resurrected, he returned as the anti-hero Red Hood, adopting more lethal methods to fight crime, believing that Batman's non-lethal approach was no longer effective against Gotham's increasingly dangerous villains. Jason's complex history of loss, betrayal, and his struggle to find his place within the Bat family highlight how much he has endured and why he deserves better. Recognition, understanding, and a chance at redemption beyond the pain and anger that have defined much of his life, and also a hug. I think he deserves a hug too. Batmite is the ultimate Batman fan, which is like super relatable. He is described as being from the 5th dimension, he's been compared to a god, and is now used mainly as a hallucination, but he was once very, very real and did meet his hero. In fact, in many universes, he teamed up with Batman to help save the day. In some cases, he even bent reality to help Batman. I love Batman, but I can't bend reality, so I guess I'll just settle for second biggest fan. Batmite has been around since the 1950s. The first version of him worked alongside another being from the 5th dimension, but reading that gives me like, it just gives me anxiety to try and read it. Mr. Mixelflix, whatever you want to call him. These two guys were known for being a little bit silly and pranking Superman and Batman. Into the 60s, Batmite disappeared for a bit. He appeared a few times but was not as involved as he once was. Fans of Batmite were naturally pretty upset, so they started to request that he make a triumphant return, and so some Batmite-centered books were released in the 1970s. Into the 80s, 90s, Batmite slowly became less an actual character and more like a hallucination, paranormal, that kind of vibe. It was the early 2000s that brought him back to the regular canon. Batmite has appeared all over the place, not just on the page. Versions of him have appeared in TV shows and even video games. Number 7, Ace. Ace the Bat Hound. If there's an animal superhero, I don't care if they are the most loved character in the entire franchise, they deserve better. The most recent, most recognizable version of Ace the Bat Hound is probably the one from the 2022 animated movie DC League of Super Pets. Ace was voiced by Kevin Hart. Ace was Batman's first pet. He appeared in the mid-1950s in Batman 92. His owner got into some trouble with like the wrong kind of people and ended up in the river. Despite Ace's best efforts, of course, he fought until he passed out. When Ace woke up, he did go into the river to find his owner, but he couldn't. Robin spotted the dog, and Ace was picked up by Batman and Robin. They didn't keep the dog right away, they acted like the good guys, and they put up signs all over town looking for his owner. Obviously, we know that the owner will not be coming forward until the end. Crime never sleeps, especially not in Gotham City. As Batman and Robin were racing out of the Batcave, Ace ran out with them. Instead of sending the dog back home to his warm bed, they were like, I like his enthusiasm, and brought that dog along. Wild choice, but it did pay off. They gave him his own little bat mask, he became the Bat Hound, and eventually helped Batman and Robin catch the criminals. Ace gets taken back in by his OG owner, but gets lended out to Batman and Robin occasionally. Later versions of Ace were owned by Batman, or the Joker, or more recently, even Robin. Number 6. Tim Drake. Tim Drake might have recently had his debut in Fortnite, but I hardly think that erases the years of trauma, psychological manipulation, and injury that he's endured. His 16th birthday present from his billionaire father figure, mind you, was a nervous breakdown. Bruce had decided that Tim needed to take the next step in his Robin training, the next step being don't trust anyone and question everything, so he gaslit him for his birthday. He made Tim believe that he received a message from the future, that the family was going to fall apart if he didn't prevent it in the present, complete with a hologram from Alfred in which everyone's favorite butler ends up laser beamed at the end. Obviously, Tim kind of crashes out about this. He can't really trust anyone, he's chasing down imaginary leads, it's a lot for his age. Bruce, at the end of it all, kind of admonishes Tim for believing the prank in the first place. There's a line where he goes, I mean really, time travel? As if time travel doesn't happen every other weekend in this universe, as if the Flash, Bruce's own teammate, hasn't done that exact thing. And then there was the whole thing with Tim's bio dad, where Tim essentially was like on the phone with him when he was eliminated, which is just really rough. And now people are mad he's in Fortnite over the other Robins. Like, please just give Tim Drake a break. Number 5. Cassandra Cain. Cassandra Cain is one of Bruce Wayne's many adopted children. Her biological parents were eliminators, and they raised her to be a weapon. So, poor girl. She shockingly did not like hurting people. She was horrified when she first had to end someone's life, and personally, I would be too. She then did, truthfully, the only thing she could, the only option that would work for her. She ran away to the Bat family, hoping that they could protect her. It's the Bat family, so of course they can, and she became the 4th person to take on the Batgirl name. This is such a good option for her. She was raised as a literal weapon, so she probably can't just turn those instincts off, and she hates ending life. The Bat family literally has a no-ending rule, no matter how much a villain and messes up that city. It's perfect for her. When she ran away, Cassandra Cain, later Wayne, had only been alive 8 years, so 8 years. Cassandra's training to become Cassandra Payne was so brutal, human rights violations left and right, she was never taught to speak. Instead, the parts of her brain used to learn to talk were instead used to learn to accurately anticipate an opponent's next move so you could retaliate appropriately. There was a long time where she didn't read or write very well either, just because her brain was messed with so much, and that's just her new Earth origin. I do want to tuck her into cozy blankets and just let her rest for once. Number 4. Jarro. The first alien to become Robin, Jarro, a beloved but underappreciated member of the Bat family, is a clone grown from a surviving tissue sample of the villainous Starro and raised by Batman himself. Despite his origins as a conqueror, Jarro strives to be a hero, dreaming of fighting crime alongside his dad, Batman, and even considering himself the best Robin. Life for Jarro is uniquely difficult. He constantly struggles with the legacy of his villainous heritage, yearning for acceptance and a sense of belonging among heroes who once battled his predecessor. Though he has shown immense loyalty, courage, and even sacrificed his own happiness to protect the Justice League, Jarro remains on the margins, often overlooked and absent from recent stories despite his popularity with fans. Given his heartfelt desire to do good and the emotional growth that he has demonstrated, Jarro truly deserves a better chance to be embraced fully by the Bat family and recognized for the hero he has become, rather than the villain that he was born from. Number 3. Julie Madison. Bruce Wayne's former fiancée is the first woman to ever wear the Robin costume. So we are not actually talking about Selena Kyle. That is long before she was in the picture. Bruce was actually engaged to Julie Madison. As one of Bruce's first significant love interests, Julie has faced the painful reality of dating a man whose life is consumed by his secret vigilante mission. Her experiences reveal the difficulty of maintaining a relationship with Batman, who is often distant, secretive, and prioritizes Gotham's safety over his personal happiness. Julie has endured isolation, fear, and even danger, such as when she was manipulated by villains or caught in the crossfire of Bruce's double life. Despite the challenges, she has shown remarkable strength and understanding, and accepting the painful truth that Gotham needs Batman more than she needs Bruce. Her unwavering support and sacrifices highlight that, while she deserves better, a more stable life, one free from the shadows cast by Batman's relentless crusade. Even when she did try and live her life, the Batmanness still haunted her. She found her way onto Clayface's elimination list in Detective Comics 49, and it was also in this comic that she donned the Robin costume to fool Clayface, becoming the first female to do so. Number 2, the forgotten Robin, Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly, introduced in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, has lived a life marked by hardship and neglect. Yet, she perseveres with remarkable courage. At just 13, Carrie grows up in a dystopian Gotham plagued by crime and corruption, with a school system and government that have completely failed its youth. Her parents, well, like, technically present, are so indifferent to her existence that they're, like, never or barely seen and barely remember they have a daughter. Despite this, Carrie uses her meager resources, like saving her lunch money to buy a makeshift Robin costume, and takes it upon herself to fight crime, risking her own safety to help Batman and ultimately saving his life from the evil mutant leader. Her determination and ingenuity earn her a place by Batman's side, but she is constantly thrust into danger and often threatened with dismissal, forced to prove her worth in a world that rarely shows her compassion or support. And finally, number 1, Batgirl, the first Batgirl. The original Batgirl was not Barbara Gordon. It was actually Betty Kane. She was introduced and then forgotten just as quickly, only lasting like 7 issues before fading away. She was a niece to Kathy Kane, Batwoman, and the pair were intended to be love interests for Batman and Robin. So already, off to a really great start. The only reason the woman exists is for the man. Love that. Of course, they didn't last very long. And honestly, most people don't even know that Betty was the first Batgirl. As Batgirl, Betty wore certain colors to flatter her teammate Robin, so not because it was what she liked or what suited her. She really was, at the time, just an accessory to the Boy Wonder, but she did make a comeback in future comics, reimagined as her own hero, Flamebird.
Number 10 is Atom Smasher. No, I'm not talking about Atom Smasher from cyberpunk lore. I'm talking about the lesser known Atom Smasher, as in the atomic particle smasher, aka Robert Julian Rothstein, who was a big deal in the DC world, literally, not figuratively. Picture this, he's a hero who could grow super big, towering over trees, and packing a punch that could knock anybody out. Now, despite his mega size and power, he didn't get the spotlight he deserved in many big storylines. But there was one storyline where he did in fact prove himself. Atom Smasher did something huge, literally and figuratively this time, by kicking a tyrant out of power in Kahndaq. Leading a team of rebel do-gooders, he flexed his muscles, showing bravery and fought for what he thought was right. His powers on display played a big role in taking down the bad guys, and his actions reshaped the DC universe by returning control to the people of Kahndaq. Atom Smasher might not have been in the headlines all the time, but when he stepped up, he changed the game for the better. At number 9 is Saturn Girl. Saturn Girl is a seriously underrated superhero in the DC universe. She's all about telepathy, a superpower that lets her read minds and communicate without even speaking. But despite her awesome abilities, she's often overlooked, just like the rest of her crew, the Legion of Superheroes. The team doesn't always get the credit it deserves, always living in the shadow of bigger superhero groups like the Justice League or Justice Society of America. But here's the kicker, Saturn Girl once saved the entire timeline. Yeah, you heard that right. A girl who just communicates with her thoughts saved the multiverse. She used her mind mojo to gather every Legion member across different universes to take down the big bad guy, the Time Trapper. Without her, who knows what kind of chaos would have happened. Saturn Girl might not be as famous as Superman or Wonder Woman, but her brain power packs a serious punch when it's used correctly. She's a legend in her own right, even if not everybody knows about it. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support Top 10 Nerd by pressing like, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell. It helps the video get pushed out to more people, and I would really appreciate it, so do that. Thank you very much. Moving on to number 8, we have Mr. Terrific. Michael Holt, also known as Mr. Terrific, doesn't just juggle lasers like they're nothing. I mean, this guy's got brains and brawn. He's all about saving the day and helping people out, but he doesn't get the credit he deserves. This dude's a top-notch genius and can do some seriously amazing things with his smarts. I'm talking about being the big shot in the Justice Society of America and being labeled as the smartest member ever. Mr. Terrific isn't just book smart though, he's a wizard with tech too. He pulled off some mind-blowing stuff against Brother Eye and saved Selena Kyle's life by putting her heart right where it belonged. Bottom line, Mr. Terrific doesn't always get the spotlight often, but when he does, it's because he's using that epic brain of his to pull off some seriously epic moves. At number 7, The Question. Question is an often overlooked figure, especially the version portrayed by Renee Montoya. Renee, a skilled detective, swaps the comfort of accolades for the shadows of vigilantism, seeking to create genuine change. Despite her remarkable career, the Question remains in obscurity, deprived of the rightful recognition she deserves. Not all strength comes from overt displays of power, as we've just seen. Renee embodies the strength through resilience. After grappling with the toll of her superhero life on her mental well-being, she'd stepped away from the role. But when duty called, she did not hesitate to don the Question's identity once more. Her willingness to confront personal struggles and yet rise to the challenge when needed showcases a different kind of fortitude. Her story emphasizes that strength isn't just about physical prowess. It's about determination to confront the inner battles and still step up to protect others when the call comes. At number 6, Vixen's one cool hero you might not have heard much about. She's in the Justice League, but hasn't got much attention as some other big names. What makes her special is how she taps into the powers of animals, like she channels their abilities thanks to this totem passed down through generations. Any animal she could think of, bam, she can manifest the strength of a lion or the speed of a cheetah, and so on and so forth. The latest Vixen, Marie McCabe, has done some seriously awesome stuff. Like, she became the boss of the Justice League. Leading the top squad of superheroes is kind of a big deal. Only a handful of heroes have ever done that, and like their names are Batman and Batman. And to get the thumbs up from Batman himself to take charge is pretty massive. It shows that she's not just tough, but smart and reliable too. It's like being the team captain of an all-star team. A ton of pressure, but also a big honor. At number 5 is Ragman. Ragman is seriously underrated in the DC universe. He's not in the spotlight much, but he is seriously powerful. Rory Reagan, the guy inside the Ragman suit, can control it like it's an extension of himself. This suit's not just a fashion statement, it's also a serious weapon. It protects Reagan and also kicks some serious bad guy butt. His suit's got this cool power that can absorb the souls of evil people. Pretty heavy stuff. Ragman isn't afraid to take on big bad demons. He once faced a whole fleet of demons and saved the Earth, which is definitely no small feat. Even though he did take a beating, he came out on top and really showed how brave and heroic he is. DC should totally give this guy more screen time, as he deserves to be up there with the big leagues like Superman and Wonder Woman. At number 4 is Spoiler. There's no spoilers, don't worry guys. The hero's name is Spoiler. Also known as Stephanie Brown, she might not ring a bell as loud as other big names in the Bat family, but she is a superhero worth knowing about. She didn't just follow in somebody else's footsteps, as she carved her own path. As Spoiler, she stepped up big time, especially when facing off against a colossal baddie named Brother Eye. Now this villain here is no joke, like big league Justice level big. But Stephanie wasn't afraid to take him head on. When Brother Eye tried to mess things up using a different timeline, Stephanie didn't just freak out. Instead, she used that timeline to her advantage. Brought heroes from that time to help her out. And if it weren't for her guts and quick thinking, things in the DC world might have turned out totally different. The next time you hear about Bat Family superheroes, don't forget to give some props to Stephanie Brown, aka Spoiler, because she's a real unsung hero in the DC universe. At number 3 is Killer Frost. Killin Snow, known as Killer Frost, doesn't totally get the spotlight she deserves, although she is kind of heavily featured on this channel. Initially seen as a bad guy, she's been trying hard to change that image. Imagine going from total baddie to trying to do the good stuff. It's a massive leap. Killer Frost wasn't just chilling out, pun intended, as a villain. She had to battle her own past and nature to become a hero. Now what's cool about her is the determination she showed. It's like fighting against the odds, clawing her way out of the dark side. The transformation from an icy antagonist to a legit Justice League member is pretty huge, and not everybody gets that chance. So yeah, Killer Frost might not be as famous, but she's definitely earned her stripes. She's proof that even the chilliest hearts can thaw out for the better. At number 2 is the Human Target. Christopher Chance, better known as Human Target, is a hero in the shadows of DC Comics. His superpower? Transforming into anybody to safeguard important folks. He also has awesome detective skills, which make him a top-notch problem solver. But what makes him truly stand out is his selflessness. He once shielded Bruce Wayne from Deadshot's deadly aim. But he didn't just save the day, he shielded Batman's secret identity too, using his face-swapping talents. Human Target's heroics go unnoticed. He's like this secret guardian angel for all the big shots, and yet few ever give him the applause he deserves. Imagine having the guts to confront a villain like Deadshot, risking risking your own life just to keep others safe. It's these unsung heroes like Human Target who deserve a spot in the limelight. And coming in at number 1 is Batwing. Luke Fox as Batwing in DC Comics is seriously underrated. Now he's one of those heroes who doesn't get enough credit because, well, I mean, Batman's got this big shadow covering everybody else in Gotham. But Luke, he's no sidekick, you guys. He's a force to be reckoned with. There was one time in the comics when Gotham was about to get nuked by the League of Assassins. Now Luke didn't just sit around twiddling his thumbs. No, he got right in the thick of it. I mean, sure, he got nabbed alongside Azrael, but that didn't stop him. After busting out, he used his smarts to defuse the bomb that would have wiped out all of Gotham. It's definitely top-tier hero stuff. It's a shame, really, that more folks don't really give Batwing the credit he deserves, given that, you know, he's hardly the most unique Bat character in all of DC. Yet, he's super awesome. He's not just another guy in a cool bat suit. He's got the brains, the guts, and the will to save the day when it counts the most. That pretty much wraps it up for today's video. As always, if there's an underrated hero in the DC universe that should have been included in this list, please feel free to let me know down in the comments.
Forget Superman and Batman. The real future of DC lies with heroes you've never heard of. And frankly, if you're still stuck on the old guard, you're missing out. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Circuit Breaker, a truly fascinating non-binary hero. Debuting in Lazarus Planet Dark Fate number 1, 2023, courtesy of A.L. Kaplan, Circuit Breaker brings a unique and potentially game-changing power set to the DC universe. They tap into the Still Force, a cosmic entity that stands in stark opposition to the well-known Speed Force. This grants them the incredible ability to manipulate time itself, essentially slowing it down or even bringing it to a complete standstill. Just envision the possibilities. The visual spectacle of such powers in a live-action movie or a high-octane video game would be breathtaking, allowing for innovative and visually stunning action sequences unlike anything we've witnessed before. Beyond the sheer spectacle, the strategic implications of controlling time are immense, opening doors for complex narratives and tactical combat scenarios. Circuit Breaker's potential to disrupt established power dynamics and reshape the landscape of the DC universe is palpable. I genuinely believe they're poised to become a significant figure, and I'm eagerly anticipating how their story unfolds and how their mastery of the Still Force will be utilized in future DC storylines. At number 9 is Xanthi. This non-binary hero is a spirit envoy and magic user. They first appeared in Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn number 1, 2023, created by Alyssa Wong and Heining. Xanthi has the ability to travel to the spirit world and deliver goods to people there. They're like the interdimensional delivery person of the DCU. They also have a variety of other magical abilities, including the ability to communicate with spirits and to cast spells. Xanthi has already interacted with iconic characters like Cassandra Cain and John Constantine, showing their potential to be a key player in magical storylines and connect the DC universe to the spirit world. I'm excited to see them explore their powers and their connection to the spirit world in future stories. Shining brightly at number 8 is Marilyn Moonlight, a spectral hero who made her debut in Superman number 2, 2023, brought to life by the creative talents of Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell. What immediately sets Marilyn apart is her captivating ability to manipulate light, a power that goes far beyond simple illumination. She can weave and bend light to her will, creating dazzling displays and potentially even offensive blasts. But perhaps her most intriguing ability is her capacity to directly recharge Superman's solar energy. Yes, you heard that right. She can give the Man of Steel a significant power boost with a mere touch, a feat that opens up a wealth of strategic possibilities in combat and narrative. This unique power set, combined with her ghostly nature, makes Marilyn a truly compelling character. The potential for her to become a key player within the Superman family of titles is immense. Just envision the dynamic possibilities of her teaming up with Superman to confront iconic villains like Lex Luthor or Brainiac, her light-based abilities complementing Superman's raw power. Imagine the visual spectacle of their combined might, a symphony of light and strength. Furthermore, her spectral nature could provide unique insights into the supernatural elements of the DC universe, adding depth and complexity to her character. I am genuinely excited to see how Marilyn Moonlight's story unfolds and how her unique powers will contribute to the ongoing Superman saga and beyond. Coming in at number 7 is Green Beetle Nitida. This Reach Beetle from the planet Bloodhaven first appeared in Blue Beetle. Graduation Day number 3, 2023, created by Josh Trujillo and Adrian Gutierrez. Unlike Jaime Reyes, she initially appeared as an antagonist, but she eventually had a change of heart and helped the Justice League and Blue Beetle fight against an invasion. With her scarab-powered suit and flight abilities, Green Beetle has the potential to be a strong female character in the DCU and add some much-needed diversity to the Green Lantern Corps. Claiming the number 6 spot is Sorrow, a character whose journey takes a fascinating and dark turn. First appearing in Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton number 1, 2023, Sorrow's initial identity as a Green Lantern is dramatically altered by an encounter with the Great Darkness. This corruption leads him to become a member of the Indigo Tribe, a transformation that grants him the profound ability to manipulate empathy and access the wellspring of compassion within others. This power is far from simple emotional manipulation. It allows Sorrow to delve into the very core of a being's emotional landscape, potentially influencing their actions and even their moral compass. This unique ability opens up a wealth of narrative possibilities, particularly in exploring the darker, more complex facets of the emotional spectrum. Imagine the potential for Sorrow to not only influence, but potentially redeem villains, challenging the traditional black and white portrayal of good and evil. He could act as a catalyst for change, forcing characters to confront their inner demons and grapple with the consequences of their actions. Furthermore, Sorrow's connection to both the Green Lantern Corps and the Indigo Tribe creates a compelling bridge between two distinct emotional forces within the DC universe. This allows for exploration of the nuances of empathy and the potential for its misuse, adding a new layer of depth to stories involving both the Lanterns and other heroes. I'm eager to witness how Sorrow's complex powers and his internal struggle between his past as a Green Lantern and his present as an Indigo Tribe member will shape future DC storylines. Number 5 on our list is Bloodwind. This hero first appeared in Lazarus Planet, Next Evolution number 1 to 2023. He has the ability to absorb the pain of others, which gives him superhuman strength and durability. Talk about empathy with a punch. Bloodwind is a really compassionate hero, and he's always willing to put himself in harm's way to help others. He could be a valuable member of a team like the Justice League Dark or the Suicide Squad, using his powers to protect those who can't protect themselves. I'm excited to see him use his powers to fight for justice. Coming in at number 4 is Peacewrecker. This anti-hero first appeared in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, 2023. She has a variety of powers, including superhuman strength, speed, and durability. She also has a healing factor and can create weapons out of thin air. Peacewrecker is a complex character who is often morally gray, but she's also a powerful hero who is capable of great things. She's like a female version of Peacemaker, and we all know how popular he is. I think she has a lot of potential to be a major player in the DC universe, and I'm excited to see her continue to develop as a character. Number 3 on our list is Deadeye. This hero first appeared in Lazarus Planet, Next Evolution number 1, 2023. He is a psychic assassin with cosmic awareness and super strength. Deadeye is a skilled fighter and a deadly marksman, and he's also a master of stealth. He's a really cool character with a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see him use his powers to fight for justice. He could be a deadly assassin or a powerful hero depending on his allegiances, making him a wild card in the DCU. At number 2 is Red Canary. This vigilante first appeared in Dark Crisis number 3, 2022. She is a skilled martial artist and a master of weapons. Red Canary is a determined and resourceful hero, and she's always willing to fight for what's right. I think she has a lot of potential to be a major player in the DC universe, and I'm excited to see her continue to develop as a character. She could easily join the ranks of the Bat family or the Birds of Prey, bringing her unique fighting style and unwavering determination to those teams. And finally, our number 1 pick for the newest underrated DC superhero with the most potential is Monkey Prince. This hero first appeared in DC Festival of Heroes, the Asian Superhero Celebration number 1, 2021. He is a clone of the Monkey King, and he has a variety of powers, including superhuman strength, speed, and agility. He can also transform into a monkey. Monkey Prince is a fun and energetic character, and I think he has a lot of potential to be a major player in the DC universe. I'm excited to see him use his powers to fight for justice. He could bring a unique and diverse perspective to the DC universe, incorporating elements of Chinese mythology and martial arts into his fighting style. So you've seen the future of DC, but what about the true powerhouses of the Marvel universe?
At number 10 is Red Tornado. Thank you to Sunstar808 for suggesting this one in the comments of part 1. Red Tornado Tornado is basically if Vision and Avatar Aang had a baby. Created by the villainous T.O. Morrow, this android hero's body is powered by a sentient wind elemental named Ulthun. Now, what makes him stand out is, well, he boasts some seriously impressive abilities. First off, that android body of his grants him superhuman durability, stamina, and strength, but his supernatural powers are that he can manipulate wind, allowing him to move at superhuman speeds, fly, and even generate powerful vortexes. He can even transform into a human-looking form at will, so he's basically DC's answer to Vision, y'all. And since he is an android, Red Tornado is also a computer whiz and a skilled teacher. As Sunstar808 put it in the comments, he's a powerful AI being that's often relegated to a background player, even though its abilities exceed more popular members of the Justice League. At number 9 is Zatanna. Thank you to Karen Starr for this one. Zatanna is one of the unsung heroes of the DC universe who possesses a staggering array of magical abilities. Her mystical prowess grants her dominion over both cosmic and supernatural forces, effectively rendering her as a sorceress supreme. I'm a Marvel fan. Through her unique method of backward speech known as logomancy, she can initiate a wide range of supernatural effects. This includes manipulating the very fabric of reality, altering weather patterns, controlling gravity, and even disintegrating objects with a mere word. Not limited to just a magician's bag of tricks, Zatanna can heal wounds, turn invisible, and reshape molecular structures. Telekinesis, teleportation, and the ability to create force fields further cement her as a formidable hero. She's even delved into dark magic, showcasing her willingness to pay the high cost of such power. Now, despite her astounding abilities, Zatanna's magic often exacts a toll, and she's not without her limitations, particularly in her reliance on speech for logomancy. Still, this magical maven certainly deserves more recognition and appreciation than she tends to get. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate if you did. At number 8 is Superboy. Thank you to Jamie Kane 3847 for this one. Honestly, I didn't really want to bring up Connor Kent, but you guys only gave me like 9 suggestions in the comments. Speaking of which, somebody said the channel should relegate me to being a research boy, so I was determined not to do any research for this video. Thanks, Jacob. Anyways, Superboy, or Con-El, stands as one of the DC Universe's most powerful, underrated powerhouses. Born as a DNA-alien clone designed to replace the fallen Superman, he's got more than just good genes, because we've got his nifty tactical telekinesis, power that forms a force field around him which mimics Superman's abilities like super speed, super strength, flight, and invulnerability. So technically speaking, at least at first, Con-El is simply using telekinesis to mimic Superman's powers. Now let's talk about character development. Superboy has had his share of arrogance issues, particularly thanks to his DNA mix, which includes a dash of Lex Luthor. Over time, he's earned some humility, but that ego can still sneak up and bite him in the cape, causing some messy situations. At number 7 is Raven. Also known as Rachel Roth, she's a superhero who deserves more recognition in the DC universe. Her backstory is a roller coaster of emotions. She's the half-demon daughter of Trigon, a nasty demon who wants to take over the planet. Her mom, Arella, is just a human caught up in this demon drama. Raven's got to keep her feelings in check 24/7 or she risks going full-on apocalypse mode. But here's the thing, she's got a heart of gold buried underneath all that darkness. Despite her demon daddy issues, she's found a second family in the Teen Titans. And boy oh boy does she pack a punch. She can project her consciousness, manipulate darkness, create energy constructs, and even mess with time. The list goes on and on. She can fly, teleport, control fire and electricity. I mean, Raven's got it all. In the words of Chris Bradley, who suggested this entry in part 1, Raven definitely deserves better. She is very powerful. She looks very beautiful and stunning in her costume. I also think that Raven is the DC Comics version of Scarlet Witch. Basically what I'm saying is that Raven is awesome, period. At number 6 is Mr. Terrific. Thank you to Trek Staven 4726, I think. Sorry I butchered your username. Mr. Terrific is both Terry Sloan and Michael Holt, who are DC legacy superheroes who truly deserve more attention. But I can see why they haven't really gotten any because their superpower is literally just being a Marty Stew. Terry Sloan, the original Mr. Terrific, was a remarkable individual with unmatched athletic abilities, intellect, and unwavering commitment to justice during the golden age of comics. His character serves as an inspiring symbol of what a person can achieve through determination and hard work. Later on, Michael Holt took on the mantle, the modern incarnation of Mr. Terrific, who ranks as the third smartest person on the planet. Not only is he a brilliant inventor and businessman, but he's also the founding member of the Terrifics, a superhero team with unique powers and abilities. Both of these Mr. Terrifics possess an almost too good to be true quality, often seen as Marty Stews because of their extraordinary capabilities. In a world filled with superpowered heroes, Mr. Terrific stands out as the embodiment of unpowered human potential, much like Batman does, except without all the clout. At number 5 is Hitman. Despite his rather grim occupation as a hitman, Tommy's character has depth that's often overlooked. He got a raw deal when he was bitten by a parasite, granting him telepathy and X-ray vision. This upgrade could have propelled him into the spotlight, but sadly, he remains a hidden gem. His telepathic powers, though limited, gave him an edge in battles. He could sense impending threats, making him a formidable opponent, and on top of that, his X-ray vision allowed him to see through objects and environments, obviously. Tommy's military training equipped him with firearm skills, but he's far from invincible, often being outmatched. Plus, his telepathy came at the cost of chronic migraines, which he tried to alleviate with alcohol, showcasing his very human side. The fact that Tommy hasn't made it to live-action adaptations, not even appearing in the Arrowverse, is definitely a mystery. Perhaps James Gunn can give this underrated hero the recognition he deserves. At number 4 is Metamorpho. Metamorpho is the Element Man, a diamond in the rough in the world of DC superheroes. Imagine having the power to morph your body into any element you desire, from liquid to gas to solid, even toxic compounds. Rex Mason's transformation was triggered by exposure to an ancient meteorite's energy, turning him into a metahuman with a twisty, stretchy, and bouncy physique reminiscent of rubber. He's basically a walking chemistry lab and a living Swiss Army knife with the ability to create gadgets on the fly. But here's the kicker, he's not just about elemental fun and games. Metamorpho packs a punch with superhuman strength and durability. He's a skilled martial artist and has an uncanny knack for aviation and investigation. Yet this elemental hero remains largely unappreciated. He's been a part of various superhuman teams, but he's never quite demonstrated his full potential. And number 3 is Element Girl, who gained her powers by replicating the very incident that gave Metamorpho his abilities, becoming a metamorphite just like him. By the way, this entry, the last entry, was suggested by Trek Extravagant 4726. Thank you very much. Anyways, thanks to Amun-Ra, the sun god of Egypt, she could transform her body into any elemental compound and manipulate it at will. Sadly, her life took a dark turn. After leaving the CIA, she sank into depression due to her transformed appearance, which left her feeling like a freak. She attempted to unalive herself multiple times, but her powers prevented her from doing so. It was only when the essence of being unalive itself intervened that she found relief. She then implored Ra to take away her powers, allowing her to finally find eternal peace. In the end, despite her incredible abilities, depression was her greatest weakness, and it's a reminder of the importance of mental health even for the most powerful superheroes. And number 2 is Doom Patrol. The Doom Patrol is a team of metahuman heroes who often go unnoticed in the vast world of DC superheroes, but they truly deserve better recognition. This unique group consists of individuals who have been shunned by society due to their unusual powers, which have caused them immense alienation and trauma. Led by Niles Calder, known as the Chief, who was actually fired because they suspected him for causing the origin stories of a lot of these superheroes to begin with. The Doom Patrol faces foes in situations that are downright bizarre, making their adventures stand out among all the other superhero teams in DC. Their lineup includes Beast Boy, who can morph into any animal, Elastigirl, who, her power speaks for itself, Mento, who went back in time to try to prevent himself from taking over the future, super cool, and Robot Man, a former race car driver who now inhabits a formidable android body. In my opinion, the Doom Patrol boasts some of the most potent heroes in the DC universe, and it's high time they receive the recognition and love they truly deserve. Adam Eve, recommended by William Kituri, who technically isn't even a DC character, but you recommended it, and there is a DC crossover at one point, so I'm gonna allow it. As Atom Eve, her main power is subatomic manipulation, meaning that with sheer willpower alone, she can sense and manipulate matter and energy at the subatomic level, essentially reshaping reality. Flight? No problem. Atom Eve alters air density to soar through the skies. Force fields? Yep, she conjures them up using her transmutation powers. And she's even got telekinesis too. Energy blasts? Yeah, she's got that too. And while she commands nature's elements at the subatomic level, rearranging atoms and molecules to transmute matter, her powers don't typically work when used on organic life. You see, mental blocks limit her abilities, but extreme emotional moments can shatter those barriers, allowing her to unleash her power on organic matter. But for someone who can allegedly rearrange atoms on a molecular level, she doesn't always seem to be using it most effectively. I mean, she could take out whoever she wanted by, say, I don't know, turning the air in your lungs to ammonia. I mean, let's get real. Even with the cap on organic life, she should still be way more OP than she's depicted.
Alright, kicking off the list at number 10 today is Martian Manhunter. Now look, Martian Manhunter may be one of the main Justice League members, but he gets slept on way too much. I will always reference this when describing John's power, but there is a panel from the New 52 when Martian Manhunter is fighting off all the members of the Justice League at the same time. With his left hand, Manhunter is using his shape-shifting ability to turn that hand into a massive spiked club and whacking away both Cyborg and Green Lantern. With his right hand, I think it's safe to say he's showing off his super strength, as he's got a power grip on the lasso of truth, and I'm assuming he's just resisting its power. Behind him is Aquaman, who's like jabbing John with his trident, but the trident is just phasing through him because John can become intangible. Then we got Superman, who's like flying around the fight at a decent distance while Manhunter uses his heat vision to keep him there. And then the funniest part is Batman doing absolutely nothing, just picking up the Flash, who seems to have just been knocked down. It's almost a perfect display of his abilities, but leaving out a handful and one of the biggest. John is the most powerful telepath on Earth, and one of the most powerful in the entire universe. Martian Manhunter has been called the most powerful being on the planet, and he's at the top of the list of people that Superman is afraid to fight. Number 9, Booster Gold. Poor old Booster Gold, the greatest hero that you've probably never heard of. His day job involves traveling through time and space, ensuring that events that are meant to happen do happen, and he absolutely rocks at it. There was even a time that Booster went so far as to create an entire second persona named Supernova for himself, while simultaneously faking a psychological breakdown and eventually faking the passing of his own Booster Gold identity, all while he went and successfully replaced several major superheroes who were missing at the time, including Superman. The thing about Booster Gold is that in order to protect himself from other time travelers, Booster has to come across as a failure, an absolute dumpster fire of mediocrity. Somebody that no one will ever want to bother with remembering anything about in the future. That's why Booster has this shtick of being greedy, incompetent, and attention-seeking, which actually kind of began as genuine, but has long since been a facade. He willingly endures a life of ridicule from the people he protects without them knowing, because when you're dealing with time travel, being the butt of the joke actually gives you an advantage. Booster is also called upon to maintain events which are pretty much less than excellent, like ensuring that bad things that have to happen actually happen. For example, he routinely guards a little German baby boy born on the 20th of April 1889 in a small town in Austria-Hungary from other first-time time-traveling superheroes. He does all of those things because the alternative is the complete unraveling of all time and space and the destruction of everything. Number 8, Firestorm. Where do we even start with Firestorm? The main version of the character is Ronnie Raymond, who is fused with his professor, Martin Stein. But there are a lot of other versions of Firestorm, a lot of whom are either one person or different fusions of other people. It's annoyingly complex. The character, as you might guess, has pyrokinetic abilities plus durability, flight, reflexes, and super strength. But the character's main thing is that they can rearrange the molecules of matter. Now this ability is obviously incredibly OP, and it would simply take one story to make him completely god level, but for the most part, writers kind of misuse him. Potentially, this character could transform entire planets into whatever he wanted. With this power, Firestorm's done some pretty godlike things. For example, Firestorm manifested a pink bunny mascot suit out of thin air around the villain villain Skull Crusher. He's turned explosions into a jack-in-the-box and a cement truck into a giant teddy bear. It's kind of hilarious, but like low-key, absolutely insane. On a way less hilarious note, he also turned a girl into salt when he was resurrected as Deathstorm. And in Doomsday Clock, Firestorm accidentally turned a crowd of Russian protesters into glass. But outside of matter manipulation, Firestorm has had some impressive feats, like surviving the nuclear meltdown that originally created the hero and absorbing all the excess radiation. And another time, Firestorm survived a straight-on nuclear explosion. An alternate version of the character called Deathstorm was able to absorb and capture 3 different Justice League teams into its own Firestorm matrix. And in Infinite Crisis, Firestorm was able to seal a multiversal rift. In case you haven't noticed, we have kind of moved away from physically unstoppable characters to characters that are just pure science fiction gods. Number 7, John Constantine. John Constantine is a really fun inclusion for this list because he is extremely powerful and not powerful at all at the same time. John can wield magic for sure through years and years of learning, training, traveling, but he doesn't have any kind of magical affinity or any kind of beneficial magical family heritage. John relies on actual magic as a very last resort, and the magic he knows how to use isn't anything to scoff at. He has even, very momentarily, been able to hold back Dr. Fate, but using magic comes at a cost, and he knows this. So what Constantine prefers is trickery. Lies, deceit, traps, his wits, weapons, artifacts, backup, and calling in favors. John smokes, he drinks, he's in his middle ages, and he ain't in the greatest of health. He can throw a punch, for sure, but most people are a physical match for him. But at the same time, he has been able to trick, outsmart, or overpower gods, demons, and angels. Batman, Superman, Darkseid, Swamp Thing, Dr. Fate, the Phantom Stranger, the Spirit of Justice, the Spectre, the Spirit of Vengeance, Lucifer, and even the Presence, who is basically DC's version of God. He tricked them all. He tricked the Presence into curing John of cancer and granting him divine protection by selling his soul to 3 separate Hell Lords who would start a civil war over his soul, which would spill out onto Earth and into heaven. Don't sleep on this bad-mouthed middle-aged man. Number 6. Atom Smasher. Thanks to exposure to radiation, Atom Smasher is already an incredibly impressive looking guy. He stands at 7 foot 6 inches tall, and he is jacked. This guy's bicep is probably bigger than my torso, which isn't really saying much, but his real power is being able to grow even bigger. He has the power of atomic dispersal, meaning he is able to control the distance between his atoms, increasing to anywhere from 28 to 60 feet in height. His mass, durability, strength, speed, and stamina are all increased even more so as he grows. Now, Albert Rothstein made his superhero debut under a different name. Initially, Al went by the superhero alias of Nuklon, and he was an original member of the superhero team called Infinity Inc. But following in his godfather, the Atom's footsteps, Albert took on his Atom Smasher name and joined up with the Justice Society of America in JSA number 1 by James Robinson. The thing about Atom Smasher that makes me think he deserves better is his entire interaction with Black Adam. When Black Adam joined the JSA, one of its members that he happened to get close with was Atom Smasher, and he even convinced Smasher to leave the team and start an anti-hero team instead, which led Smasher down a darker path, even becoming part of the Suicide Squad for a time. He has been redeemed since, but I don't think he ever really deserved that in the first place. Number 5, Hawkman. Hawkman is a doozy to talk about. Essentially, he has 2 main origins. He was either a space cop or a reincarnated prince, and sometimes both. Basically, Hawkman's secret identity is Carter Hall, an archaeologist and a museum creator who is actually a reincarnation of the ancient Egyptian prince, Khufu. Now Khufu, who would become known as Hawkman, discovered an alien spacecraft from the planet Thanagar powered by an anti-gravity element called the Nth metal, which transformed his soul and doomed him and his love to be reincarnated over and over again throughout time. Some of his incarnations include Brian Kent, the Silent Knight from 5th century Britain, Conrad von Grimm, the son of a blacksmith in 14th century Germany, Captain John Smith of the 16th century English colony in Virginia, Hannibal Hawks, the Nighthawk in the American Old West, Detective James Wright, a Pinkerton detective in the early 20th century, and finally, Carter Hall himself. Whether it's because of his really confusing origins, or maybe because people don't realize how cool this character actually is, he just kinda seems to suck. And when I was a kid, I thought he was super cool. Oh, to be an innocent, sweet child again. Number 4, Raven. Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go brought the new Teen Titans to a big audience, and one character who really stood out is Raven. She's been like the character on that team that everyone seems to like regardless of who you are. Seriously, you can't go to a comic book convention without seeing someone rocking a Raven cosplay. She's like the goth icon for superhero fans. Raven's super popular, and it's kind of strange that DC hasn't done more with her. She's got an awesome but also absolutely terribly upsetting backstory, crazy strong powers that could literally destroy all we hold dear, and a personality that fans absolutely adore. Honestly, she could totally be DC's version of a much better and more interesting Scarlet Witch without any trouble. It's just frustrating that DC isn't giving her more love in the comics like they do in the shows. Number 3, Aquaman. The ocean is a genuinely terrifying and interesting place. As such, the Atlanteans of DC Comics possess a few advantages over us regular humans. They have super strength, speed, endurance, and durability, all in order to help them survive the mind-boggling pressure at the insane depths of the ocean at which they live. But Aquaman himself is a royal Atlantean, which means that he is a super Atlantean. His strength and durability has allowed him to close the Marianas Trench, which I don't even know how that works, go toe-to-toe with powerful foes like Martian Manhunter, Lobo, and Wonder Woman, and tank blasts from Starro. His speed, which is often forgotten about, allows him to swim at 10,000 feet per second, and he can move even faster without the pressure of water drag, allowing him to dodge bullets and catch lasers. But Aquaman has quite a few other advantages. His control over sea life has helped him in a large majority of his fights, with his underwater allies coming to his aid and helping him do things he probably couldn't do alone, like creating a massive tsunami with whales. His telepathic skill is actually quite impressive as well. Some of my favorite feats include him telepathically controlling a Green Lantern ring, reading the Martian Manhunter's mind without permission, and controlling a space dragon. For a while, he also had a hand that was a hook, and then that became a magical mystical water hand that could do a whole other level of feats, but I'm kind of out of time, so we're moving on. Number 2, Animal Man. Thanks to an encounter with some rather strange aliens, Bernard Buddy Baker gained access to the morphogenic field, otherwise known as the Red. This field basically allows Buddy to absorb and use different attributes of nearby animals while still being a human. So, he has been able to move his eyes independently like a chameleon, he's been able to ram against a speeding car with the abilities of a rhino, he can fly by tapping into birds, he's regenerated a whole lost limb by tapping into an earthworm, gained the strength to lift a car by tapping into a spider, and he's ran at 75 miles per hour by adopting the abilities of an ant. But his abilities have done some even more surprising things, like for example, when a villain cut Buddy off from the nearby animals by putting him in a room, he took on the attributes of the bacteria inside that villain's body, allowing Animal Man to duplicate himself. He can even tap into the attributes of extinct animals like dinosaurs, which has allowed him to punch out a T-Rex and survive being crashed into by a plane. Over time, he's received power boosts that allow him to use multiple abilities at once, and then to even use the abilities of any animal in the universe, like when he used the power of a quote sun eater, which let him fly across the galaxy in an instant. Number 1, Icon. While Milestone's Dakotaverse isn't currently a part of the DC universe, the New 52 previously merged the universes together with the Wildstorm reality. Icon returned as the most powerful Milestone character in the new Earth M setting. He was originally an alien named Arnis, whose ship crashed on an Earth plantation. Arnis was raised as an unwilling servant named Augustus Freeman until his memories and powers developed during the Civil War. He spent 100 years working as a lawyer before Raquel Irvin convinced him to become the costumed hero Icon and set an example for others. Icon has incredible strength that rivals Superman's. Icon also has incredible reserves of energy that he can project in various forms. He's one of the best Superman-like characters, and yet I feel like he just hasn't been given any real good times to shine recently. It's like DC kinda just forgot about him and a lot of the Dakotaverse alongside him.
Number 10, Batwoman. I love Batwoman, but I feel like so many times she honestly gets shafted, especially in regard to her connection to the Bat family. Granted, Kate Kane does often like to be independent from her cousin, Bruce Wayne, but she is still a member of the family, and I don't think she really gets featured enough in the comics. While she has been featured elsewhere in the DC universe, she hasn't had her own self-titled series since 2018, and even then, that series only lasted for a year, from 2017 to 2018, having just shy of 20 issues. You might think, wow, well, that's still a good accomplishment in modern day comics, and you're right. However, when you look at, how long Batman always goes on for, we could have a little bit more Batwoman than like whatever she got, like 18, 19 issues. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd and you want more DC content from us, do I have good news for you? We have a DC Comics playlist, so go check that out. Number 9, Stargirl. Stargirl is one of those characters that I just feel we don't see enough of in the comics. Now, she has had her moments in the comics, and she did end up getting her own TV show, it is true, but considering that she did have her own TV series, I was kind of hoping we get to see more of her in the comics as a result. And in recent years, since her series started, this hasn't really been as much the case. Now, she has been on the Justice League before, sure, and she's had her own mini-series as recently as 2022, which is pretty good, but we still have never had an ongoing comic series for Stargirl. Like, she's never had a self-titled ongoing. And considering how cool Courtney Whitmore is and how much she is loved by the fans, it's honestly just kind of unfortunate. Number 8, Big Barda. Big Barda is another hero who often feels invincible in terms of her approach to heroism. Big Barda herself is a new god. She hails from Apokolips, where she was once one of Darkseid's fearsome female furies. Despite the fact that Big Barda has recently resurfaced joining up with the Birds of Prey, which honestly I think is a great fit for her, she hasn't been regularly featured prior to this for some time. And I feel like she is a character who deserves more hype in the comics. Heck, even in the movies. Where is our Big Barda solo film, huh? I feel like actually James Gunn would probably do a really good job of putting that together. The Big Barda solo film. Oh, I would watch that. I would be in that. I don't know if I'm jacked enough to be Big Barda, but I'd get jacked to be Big Barda. She's so cool. Number 7, Naomi. Naomi is probably one of the most powerful of the newer heroes that we've seen. But do most people even know who she is? Probably not. Amber, do you know who she is, Naomi? Nope, see, there you go. Despite her powers being comparable, and I would argue even stronger than characters like Superman, she isn't often heavily featured in the comics. Unlike Superman, whose weakness is actually magic, Naomi bolsters magic around her. Haha! So magic does not have the same negative effect on her, but instead works almost in the exact opposite way. Her powers allow her to generate energy, which she can then use to boost her powers or any magic or magical beings around her. I'm still waiting for an epic Zatanna and Naomi team up to happen in the comics, and yes, I know Naomi had her own TV series, but she also only got one season of that. And while I've heard some great things about it, overall it seems like the series was met with a mixed reception between audience and critics, so. Although honestly, I gotta watch it. I should watch the Naomi series. Bet I'd probably enjoy at least some of it. I mean, I'm surprised I'm enjoying Gotham Knights as much as I am, even though that show is an experience. Number 6, Killer Frost. Caitlin Snow is truly a character that has sat on the periphery of the DC mainstream for years and years. Yet despite being super cool, pun intended, and interesting in regards to her backstory, whether we're focusing on Caitlin honestly or even her predecessor, Louise Lincoln, but especially Caitlin, she barely gets featured in the comics, appearing less than 100 times in the last 10 years. If we're talking about Caitlin Snow, that is. And that's even with a version of Caitlin's character being adapted for the CW Arrowverse television series The Flash, appearing as one of the key members of the Flash's support team there. Number 5, Batgirl. One of the weirdest things with DC is how sometimes they just completely leave their stories open to being canon or not, depending on how fans receive those stories. And one of the weirdest incidents of this happening was actually with The Killing Joke. Now, The Killing Joke was written by Alan Moore and was never intended by him to be necessarily a part of the main continuity. And as far as I know, it still isn't even really fully canon, except for one part of that story, the successful attack on Barbara Gordon by the Joker, which left her both traumatized and paralyzed from the waist down. Why this was the only thing we chose to keep from this story, I don't know. But the the whole idea of it just feels super weird to me, especially when you consider how brutal and graphic this attack was against Barbara. And Barbara gets no opportunity to defend herself, having been surprised by the Joker's visit while visiting her dad in her civilian form. That being said, she's still Barbara Gordon, so you still would think, you know, maybe she'd do something, but no. This element of the story would change Barbara's life forever, and although I do like Babs as Oracle, it feels like she was robbed of some agency here. In fact, it feels like she was robbed of a lot of agency here, especially when you consider the story was never really intended to be incorporated into the canon. Barbara Gordon has since managed to heal and return to her role as Batgirl while still keeping all the skills she was shown to have as the brilliant hacker and computer whiz Oracle. But I still feel like the fact that she suffered so severely from what was intended to be a story that existed outside of canon is brutal. Number 4, Blackfire. You know you deserve better when I've barely talked about you as a character on the channel when I've been working here for almost 5 years. Yikes. Poor Blackfire. I'm sorry, Blackfire. I'm sorry for my part in this. I feel like the thing I'd personally love to see more of from a character like Blackfire is perspective in the comics. Blackfire is the evil sister of Starfire. And I mean, she is really evil. And while she might be one of the best of the worst around, I would say she does ultimately lack some depth. Sure, she is really, really bad, but I've always found her to be more surface level in terms of her motivation behind why she does what she does. In the New Earth continuity, it's the lack of respect and love from her people and her jealousy for her young sister, Coriander, Starfire, who got all that love instead, that basically drives her to do such terrible things. In the Prime Earth continuity, this is less focused on, but still plays a role. And even in the New Earth continuity, I'd like to see more of this in terms of the nuances of Commander's character. I understand her being jealous, I get that, but how else does this affect the way the Blackfire sees not just like her sister, but like the whole world? How else does she justify such terrible actions? Is there any way to get across to her and potentially reach her on an emotional level? I want to feel for Commander, and I often feel she's robbed of any kind of sympathetic perspective, even with everything she went through as a child. I mean, like, I do feel bad for her in terms of like what happened to her, but I just feel like we never really get to connect with her, you know? And I think I'd like to do that more. Is that weird? People are gonna be like, why do you want to connect with this super evil character? Look, I love evil characters, and I think sometimes they have reasons. Number 3, Variant. Talk about women who have been shafted in the comics. How about any of these cyber women that we have seen who have acted as female counterparts to Cyborg? Among them is Variant. Variant only made a handful of appearances before she was tragically just like kind of written out, but I do think her character had promise, and I've always felt it would be cool for Cyborg to have someone to talk to who really gets what it's like to live as he does and share his perspective. Scarlet Taylor is very similar to Cyborg in that regard, being a member of the CIA who almost lost her life on a mission and was saved by being transformed into a cyborg like Cyborg himself was. Number 2, Vixen. Vixen is a supermodel turned businesswoman and in the current continuity, a supermodel slash fashion designer turned primetime show host and animal activist. Well, it's more than likely that Vixen has been an animal activist ever since she possessed the superpower to take various animal shapes. Armed with the Tantu Totem, she can transform into various different animals and harness their own unique abilities and powers. And even without the totem, she currently still can call on at least some of its power, giving herself like animal characteristics basically. Still, despite having this insane amount of power at her fingertips and the fact that she has a pretty cool backstory, is stunning, and is a badass, we don't see Vixen featured that often in the comics. When we talk about Halle Berry and DC, that Catwoman movie, look, that wasn't great, but I feel like Vixen would have been an amazing character to see Barry in the role of. Number 1, Circe. While Hecate and Hera are both goddesses, at one point Circe is even more powerful than the both of them, after she takes within herself all of Hecate's power, which allows her to tap into the source of magic. Even without being able to tap into the source of magic, Circe is known for being a fearsome and powerful witch who can easily defeat many of those who would stand against her. And yet despite this, we haven't really seen Circe focused on as a villain in what honestly feels to me like forever. I know it hasn't been that long, but it feels like forever. In Justice League Dark by James Tynion IV, we even get a great look into Circe's tragic backstory that shows us why Circe is as power hungry and ruthless as she is. She didn't necessarily have the easiest life, guys. It comes from a place of self-preservation because she was so cruelly mistreated by the world, and yet despite building up her character, it still often feels like she falls by the wayside at DC Comics. She's such a cool character. She should have her own series, honestly.
DC has created one of the most popular hero teams in the superhero world, but what about all the other groups that are just as deserving of the hype? The series One Star Squadron debuted in 2022. It featured unpopular heroes combining their limited star power to create heroes for you. It's like a mix between Uber, Cameo, and 911. For these C-list heroes, the C stands for capitalism. People use the Heroes for You app for on-demand hero assistance. Situations you may need a hero for include, but are not limited to, alien attacks, transporting sensitive information, birthdays, or getting your kitty out of a tree. No job is too big or small, they will answer the call. I love this idea. Trust and believe if I were a D or C-list superhero, I would be on here. I also think this idea is so clever from the writer's point of view. They were able to bring back a bunch of characters, so many fun characters all at once. The app and agency was led by Red Tornado, but other heroes you could request were the Heckler. I would request him. His power is literally just being annoying. Just send him to that person you mildly dislike. Takes care of it. Let me know down below who you would sick the Heckler on. Minuteman is available. He has a bunch of powers, but only for 1 minute at a time. There is Flying Fox, who is known for magic things like invisibility and illusions, good for a birthday. There are a bunch more heroes too. That's just a taste of all the options. I just love this idea. Literally all these heroes just deserve better. I have a soft spot for silly superheroes. What can I say? I like to laugh as much as I like the serious stuff. Section 8 made me giggle, specifically this one guy on the superhero team. His name is Defenestrator. Defenestrator from now on will be Mr. D. He literally just goes around with a window and smashes it over villains' heads. In all fairness, defenestration is literally the act of throwing someone out a window. I'm obsessed. Mr. D started out a villain but was recruited to the Hero Squad Section 8 by Hero 6-Pack. The team is made up of just wacky heroes with wacky names. We have Dog Welder. He welds dogs. I'm being so serious. There's Bueno Excelente. That is literally good, excellent in Spanish. Phlegm Gem. He has blinding phlegm. Gross. Friendly Fire. He is the most traditional. He shoots energy blasts. And then there is Jean de Baton Baton. He fights with, take a guess, a baton, and he is French. The entire thing is so camp and also a tiny bit problematic, which is probably why it hasn't picked up much steam. The Metal Men were created by Dr. William Magnus in the New Earth DC universe. The team is an interesting idea, metals with human-like bodies and the capacity to form thoughts and personalities. Dr. William created the Metal Men using his invention, the responsometer. It's a microcomputer that can give metal life. The Metal Men are made up of 5 male metals, gold, tin, mercury, lead, and iron, and 1 female metal, platinum. The team is such a specific brand of hero, so they fought a specific brand of villain too, monsters that appeared due to odd scientific research. The team has fought alongside Batman. Initially they were arrested by Batman because they were framed for something, but their names were cleared eventually. After getting their names cleared, they took down a bunch of evil robots together. The nice thing about the metal heroes is they can literally be remade whenever, as long as Dr. William has his microcomputer and a bit of the metal heroes can be brought back. The metals can also be combined to create the formidable foe alloy. Here's the thing, I spend time on the internet, clearly, and I'm also just a girl, so I will see these videos of people personifying different inanimate things like apps and countries and cars. So I think now is really the time to push the Metal Men. Inanimate objects given life are in right now, trust me. The Challengers of the Unknown have an interesting origin story. They were a bunch of guys on a plane that were flying to go be guests on a radio show called Heroes, later changed to a TV show. They were above average guys though. One was considered a master of skin diving, another a daredevil working in the circus, an Olympic wrestling champion, and trained jet pilot and war hero. Just quite a mix of people. Of course, the plane they were in went down and the Fab Four of course survived. After the crash, they all have that wow, we almost died moment, and they decided that they are all living on borrowed time and that they should challenge the unknown together. Challenging the unknown really is what these guys did. They were also a for-hire service too. They got hired to open Pandora's box. Pandora's box is something you famously should not open. However, they were offered $1 million. Not saying I would do it, but I get it. These guys start kind of taking on jobs that are too out there for others or too hard. They worked with the Pentagon of all places. One member loses their sight along the way, so a different member gives them an eyeball. They go through it. They had created their home base in a mountain. The personification of evil comes by and blows it up. At a certain point, the team really just can't catch a break. Eventually, there are new team members, a games designer, a physicist, a NASCAR driver, and a commercial pilot. What I think is cool about this particular DC team are the people on the team are just people. They have semi-regular jobs and just decided to start conquering challenges despite not receiving any superpowers. The Sea Devils, like the Challengers and Batman, were just regular people doing extraordinary things. They appeared in Showcase issue 27 in 1960 but got their own series the next year. The group was made of 4 people. Dane Dorrance was the leader, the other members were his girlfriend Judy Walton, Judy's younger brother Nicky Walton, and friend Biff Bailey. The group spent most of their time underwater, of course. They spent a lot of time living every ocean-obsessed kid's dream. They fought sea monsters and discovered underwater kingdoms. Like truly, if I was guaranteed to never drown, I would join this crew so fast. Spending so much time with aquatic life and fighting in the sea, the group also fought for the sea on land. They are environmentalists and are suggested to maybe be a bit extreme at times with their methods in the New 52 reboot, but they remain allies to Aquaman. The duality of the universe being manifested in human form has been done so many times, and yet it always hits. Hawk and Dove are another version of this. They were inspired by the political climate of the 1960s, with the characters debuting in 1968. People that were more in favor of war were often referred to as hawks, and the dove is commonly a symbol of peace. So from that, we get the aggressive hawk and the level-headed dove. In the DC universe, the Lords of Chaos and Order decided to bestow powers on a set of brothers, Hank and Don Hall, making them effectively War and Peace. They wore matching outfits, one was red and the other blue. The pair worked well together as Hawk often acted without thinking and Dove would think without action. Hawk was shoot first, ask questions later kind of vibe, whereas Dove made sure to provide the compassion and solutions that didn't require physical conflict. A perfect balance that was unfortunately thrown out of balance when Dawn passed on during the Crisis on Infinite Earths fiasco. It would be disastrous if just War was out here on their own, so a replacement had to be found, and that was Dawn Granger. The Lords chose her because she was level-headed and willing to find compromise and see reason and other perfect peaceful qualities. After the loss of his brother, naturally Hawk took some time getting used to his new counterpart, but eventually accepted her. The characters of Hawk and Dove have plenty of potential, and yet their solo series are never that long. They got some credit on the screen. They made their animated debut in Justice League Unlimited in 2004 episode, then made their live-action debut in 2018's Titans. I am about to put up missing posters for this team because honestly, where did you come from? Where did you go? Justicia is the hero team of Mexico. Justicia is Spanish for justice. The Justice League of Mexico, basically. They first appeared in Suicide Squad, Most Wanted, El Diablo, and Amanda Waller 5. They were in 6 too, but then goodbye, I guess. The team is led by El Dorado. He's almost a Mexican version of Superman. He can fly and he's really buff. He is also capable of teleporting and minor telepathy. He also really looks like Miguel from Into the Spider-Verse. Anyway, there are 3 other members on the team. Akrara, a skilled martial artist and acrobat that wears a Mayan artifact that gives her teleportation abilities. Then we have El Muerto, an undead hero, which makes him hard to hurt the way you might hurt someone who's alive. And finally, we have E-Man. He wears a suit of armor that gives him superior strength. There are some connections between this team and the Justice League. El Muerto used to idolize Superman, and E-Man received a scholarship from Wayne Enterprises. E-Man and Batman also share similar parent trauma. Each individual hero has had a handful of appearances, it's just the team that hasn't come up much. I think they are neat and should get more chances to show off together. So now we have shed some light on the MIA superhero team for Mexico, now we are heading to look at the main team for Japan. Big science action. The founding members were Boss Bozazuko, he had a flaming head and a bike. Cosmo Racer was an alien android that required specific crystals to power his interstellar traveling. Goriko is a projection that comes from the mind of a young Japanese girl that is currently existing in a sensory deprivation tank. Hammer Suit Zero X is a monster armor made of sturdy metal and has drills for weapons. Junior Waveman is the Japanese version of the Sea Devils mentioned earlier, but this time there are 8 people. The solar physicist known as Rising Sun is on the team as well. A Japanese stuntman known by his hero name Sunburst was on the team but perished in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Finally, Ultimon, a hero dedicated to fighting giant monsters. Since its founding, the team has integrated some new members, and throughout history, big science action has saved Japan from many threats. The team might not be out as much anymore because after Final Crisis, the government confined the Super Squad to their base. We are about to get into the team that was originally published by Image Comics, later DC. The team is Wetworks. Wetworks is an actual term meaning work involving assassination, so you can probably guess the vibe. They are a covert operations team in the Wildstorm universe. Their leader is Jackson Dane. Technically, the original covert op team name was Team 7. The team was sent out to raid this cave, but the cave was already raided when they got there, except for these tubes filled with gold liquid. The team had a lot of remote controlled weapons on them that happened to start start a countdown to detonate while they were inside. Then everything goes wrong all at once. The tubes get shot, the liquid gets on these people and surrounds them, and then the explosives go off. But it turns out the liquid acted like protective armor because it was symbiotes. Adding a sim to someone automatically makes them cooler, but you know what makes them even cooler? When they fight vampires. This team has been running across Eastern Europe making sure they can't remake Twilight. They had lost members along the way and even temporarily stopped because of it. They regrouped after the world cataclysm and were called to Utah, of all places. Turns out someone was trying to make demonite vampire hybrids. In the ensuing fight, the Sims all mutated and the Wetworks team started getting new powers. The new power played a key role in stopping the vampire hybrids from existing. Atomic Fallout seemed to be a popular origin story for heroes. The heroes of Lalor are no different. The heroes of Lalor are a team of 5 heroes. Their parents lived close enough to the site of the atomic fallout on their world that their genes were altered, resulting in their children all being born with powers. The kids were sent away from the planet and decided to come to Earth. They were tricked, bamboozled, lied to by this guy named Dr. Martin King. He made the young heroes think that the Legion of Superheroes were criminals. Why? So he could avenge his brother's death. Because this random group of people from outer space started attacking them, the Legion also thought the heroes of Lalor were the bad guys. They fought for a bit, but soon realized that they were both fighting with good intentions and became friends instead. Unfortunately, one of the Lalor members did pass away, Beast Boy. Not the one you're thinking of, a different guy. You know how I know the heroes of Lalor deserve better? They used one of the characters' name for another hero, and that guy is eons more popular. Their powers are even similar. The Lalor Beast Boy has the power to turn into any animal, and the more popular Beast Boy does the same thing. There were 5 heroes on the team. The others were Gas Girl, she can change her body into any gas. There is a Volvo Lad, he can make his body into any point in human evolution, so he can become an ape or the kind of man humanity can't even imagine yet. Life Last can create living creatures from inanimate objects, Beauty and the Beast core. And finally, Duplicate Boy, he can duplicate any hero's superpowers. Eventually, the surviving 4 make it back to their home planet. They even gained a new member, Splitter, or Arm Fall Off Boy.